that his other wife, Sasha, was moving in with them. And then he lost his nerve. He needed a distraction. So when he remembered his cat, Zach, waiting for him at the vet, he was grateful. As he walked down the street, his nerves were replaced with giddiness. I can't believe I went from no girlfriend to 3 wives. I'm insanely lucky. Doesn't every guy want a harem of beautiful women? Victor also knew that having 3 wives with exotic personalities could be very stressful. He was sure problems would arise over time. But one thing would never change. He, Violet, Sasha, and Ruby were connected by blood, in the most literal sense possible. He thought back on how he was able to see all of Sasha and Violet's memories whenever they drank each other's blood. He thought about the botched ritual. How did it all go wrong? He remembered Violet had said that his blood was special, RH null blood. The blood that made him so sick as a human but gave him so many benefits as a vampire. Was it my unique blood that made the ritual go haywire? He wanted to learn more about the ritual to understand his origin story and figure out what went wrong. There were only 2 beings who knew a lot about rituals: older noble vampires and witches. He quickly ruled out witches. With their greedy attitude, they would likely ask for something valuable in return. I'd have better luck with old vampires. A voice screaming his name interrupted his thoughts. Yo, Victor! With his enhanced vampire senses, the voice boomed in his ears. He clenched his fist, rage growing, and then he saw who it was, his childhood best friend, Andrew Walter. He had spiky blonde hair and vivid green eyes. They hadn't seen each other in forever. Andrew ran toward him. Victor, is it really you? Victor released his anger and smiled. Andrew, how are you, dude? They slapped hands and embraced. Andrew gave him a playful shove. Bruh, I've been calling you for like 10 minutes. What's the deal? You ignoring me or something, big shot? The first thought Victor had was of Andrew's mother. She was a gorgeous older woman with a very charming personality and even nicer body. Victor has always had a secret crush on her as a kid. He tried to shake off the prurient thoughts. Come on, man, don't think of your friend's mother that way. Remember the Brothers' Code of Conduct? The Brothers' Code of Conduct was something Victor and his friends had created when they were young. The code was simple. Don't date your friend's ex-girlfriends, don't date your friend's mother or sister, and most importantly, don't date your friend's current girlfriend. Why had they created this? Well, Victor was fully aware that just like Andrew's mom, his mom was also beautiful. And even though he knew she would never cheat on his dad, it didn't hurt to have some additional insurance. Andrew looked at Victor with questioning eyes, sizing him up. Hey, no judgment, man, but you juicing or something? He gestured to Victor's newly formed muscles. Victor scoffed. You think I'm on steroids? Victor was almost flattered. Andrew rested his hand on Victor's shoulder. It's okay, bro. You can be honest with me. Victor shook his head. This guy really makes me angry sometimes. No, Andrew, I didn't take anything. I've just been working out. Andrew didn't buy it. Bullshit. Victor shrugged. Believe what you want. I'm telling the truth. Andrew laughed. Whatever you say, Captain America. I still think you're lying. Victor stifled a smile. Andrew was right, but not in the way he thought he was. Victor changed the subject. Did I tell you I got married? Andrew's jaw nearly dropped to the floor. What? I don't believe you. Victor looked back at him with a dead stare. Andrew stammered. Come on, man. You're messing with me, right? Dude, I'm not lying. I'm married now. Andrew shook his head. I just don't believe you. You're not even wearing a wedding ring. What kind of a newlywed doesn't wear a wedding ring? You're already cheating on your wife? Victor winced. Oh, it's a more complicated topic. He assured his old friend. It's true. I swear I'm married, but things happen quickly. Spur of the moment thing. We're still working on the wedding ring. Victor kept walking. Anyway, I'm in a rush. Gotta get going now. But it was great seeing you. Andrew looked wounded. Huh? Hold up. I'll come with you. Shit, guy. Take a hint, guy. Victor shifted uncomfortably. You don't even know where I'm going and you're going to follow me. What if I'm going somewhere illegal? Sounds fun. Plus, I can't let you go alone into this mysterious den of illegal activity. Of course, when it's all over, I will have to tell your mom all about it. which will give me an excuse to spend some time with her. Victor laughed. If you try to bang my mom, I will bang yours. Andrew chuckled. Don't worry, bro. I remember the code. I wouldn't do something like that. Good, Victor said, satisfied. He knew Andrew wouldn't do that. Besides, Anna had defended Andrew's mom in court whenever his deadbeat dad sued her for custody. Andrew respected Victor's mom way too much to cross the line. Andrew added, Besides, I don't like married women. Too much trouble. Victor raised an eyebrow. Are you speaking from experience? He saw Andrew's smile break for a moment, and then he averted his eyes. Don't worry about it. Victor was surprised. Dude, be careful. You don't want some deranged husband coming after you. Andrew nodded. Trust me, I know. They walked along quietly. Victor couldn't help but press for details. I gotta know, was she hot? Andrew grinned wide. 32 years old, tan, curvy as hell with dark black hair. Yeah, she was hot. She lived in New York and was from a wealthy family, but her husband was a 66-year-old man. I think she was frustrated because he didn't satisfy her. Victor nodded. Huh? You feel bad for the guy at all? Andrew shook his head. Nah, he was a scumbag. Nice justification. Victor playfully punched Andrew on the shoulder. They both laughed and looked up to see that they had reached pause and awes. The automatic doors parted as he and Andrew strolled in. Victor was excited to see his cat, reconnecting with his old friend, and now his pet made him feel like he was still tethered to the human world. He approached the front desk. Hello, I'm here to pick up Zach. He's a Burmese cat? The nurse looked suddenly stricken as she rose to her feet. I'm so sorry, Mr. Walker, but I have some bad news. Victor stumbled back, reeling. Oh, God. What happened? The receptionist at the veterinary office stared at Victor with deep discomfort. I'm afraid I have some bad news about your cat, Zach. Victor panicked. Zach was his best friend in the world, and with all the upheaval in his life, he needed him now more than ever. He stammered. What happened? The receptionist looked down at her computer screen, puzzled. Wait, Zach with a K or an H? Victor raised an eyebrow. What the hell is going on? Zach with a K. The receptionist blushed and began to apologize profusely. Oh my God, I'm so sorry. Zach with a K is totally fine. I'll have someone bring him out. Victor took a deep breath. Oh, thank God. He heard an old woman's voice behind him. My cat's name is Zach with an H. What's going on? The receptionist swallowed hard and buried her head in her hands. Victor retreated to the lobby to wait for Zach, only to see his good friend's sister, Leona Elizabeth Lykos, carrying the little fur ball in her arms. He had completely forgotten that she was a vet tech at this hospital. She had long white hair, bright blue eyes, and a slim body. Her albino complexion made her even paler than Victor. She was born with a physical condition just like me. With no pigmentation, her skin was very sensitive to the sun. Because of that, she always stayed indoors, and when she did venture out, it was only at night. Victor took his cat from Leona and pet him lovingly. Zach purred loudly and then rolled over for a belly rub. Victor looked back to see Andrew move seats to the far corner of the lobby. Wow, I can't believe those two still have beef. Leona studied Victor and his new physique. You've changed. Victor nodded as the two of them silently stared at each other. Well, this is new. Is there a vibe here? Victor stroked his cat's ears. How is Zach doing? He's fine. We ran some tests. Everything looks good. Victor raised a quizzical eyebrow. Really? But he's been meowing like crazy and eating less than usual. Leona cleared her throat. Well, I can explain that. He's horny. Victor was shocked by her answer. Horny? Like he's in heat? Zach purred as if he knew he was being discussed. Leona laughed. Female cats go into heat. Male cats just get horny. You should consider neutering him. I can give you a friends and family discount. Zach hissed at Leona like she was about to snip him right there and then. Victor chuckled. He doesn't like that idea very much. Leona took a step back. He's very smart. Victor looked his cat in the eye. One man to another. I won't let her do that to you. You want to have your own litter one of these days, don't you? Zach meowed in agreement, then jumped on Victor's shirt, playfully scampering up to perch on his shoulders. He's done this since he was a kid. He always likes to sit on my shoulder for some reason. Victor's shoulders being broader than before, Zach easily found a comfortable position. Leona giggled. Seems to be more monkey than cat. Zach hissed at Leona once again. He really doesn't like her, huh? Leona frowned. Now I'm just offended. They both laughed. Victor couldn't help but clock Leona's smile. This girl is cute as hell. How did I never notice? Suddenly, he heard a man's voice from behind him. Well, Victor. Long time no see. It was a tall man with a toned body, platinum blonde hair, and eyes as blue as Leona's. It was her brother, Edward Jonathan Lycos. Edward had previously been Victor's personal trainer, before he hung up his dumbbells and opened his own bar. This was the man who trained me in self-defense. I could never do many of the moves because of my physical limitations, but I learned just enough to take care of myself. Executing a knee to the groin, using a stun gun. Come to think of it, was that a women's safety course? Victor gave Edward a friendly nod. Sup, Ed? Do you still shine in the sun when you walk down the street? Edward bristled. Man, I wish that movie never came out. Victor laughed. I'm sorry. How are things going? Not too bad. I finished building a new VIP lounge for my bar. I can get you behind that velvet rope, bro, anytime you want. Victor smiled. Sweet. Sounds great. The receptionist paged Leona over the loudspeaker. Leona, we need your help with a client. Leona touched Victor's shoulder. I'll be right back. Victor felt a slight buzz of energy course through his body at the feel of her touch. He ignored it. Once she was gone, Andrew came sheepishly waddling over. Yo, Ed, how are you doing? Edward shrugged. Is my sister still mad at you? Andrew lowered his eyes. I think so. Victor shook his head. Leona had been bullied when she was younger because of her looks. As a result, she always hung around with Andrew. Spending so much time with the cute boy made the other girls even more merciless. Her brother never let the bullying escalate since he was an upperclassman. He protected his sister loyally. He almost got arrested for breaking the jaw of some jock that catcalled her at a basketball game. But he hired the right lawyer, Victoria's mother, and beat the case. After that, the bullying stopped. Everyone was afraid of incurring the wrath of Edward. But also because of this incident, Leona had a lot of trouble making friends. The only friend she had beside Andrew was Andrew's ex. They broke up when Andrew cheated on her with an older woman. Leona had resented Andrew ever since for betraying her friend. Edward slapped Andrew casually on the shoulder. You don't need to worry too much. One day she'll forgive you, I think. Andrew sighed. Nah, not Leona. She's an expert at holding a grudge. Edward nodded. Yeah, that's true. You're screwed. There was an awkward silence interrupted by Edward observing Victor's swole physique. Holy hell, man. How did this happen? Leona rejoined the group in time to respond. You just now noticed, Ed? I say it was only a matter of time. Victor was always the runt of the group. He had to grow someday. Andrew smiled at Leona. She avoided eye contact. Edward squeezed Victor's bicep. Your muscles are defined, too. How did you bulk up so quick? Well, I followed your masterful tutelage, plus a few internet videos. Edward smiled. Well, good for you, man. I heard about that little basketball showdown with Luan the other day. Slick moves. A dunk from midcourt. Leona scoffed. Luan's a bully. I hate that guy. Edward agreed. Definitely. Let us know if you want our help dealing with him. Victor waved him off. No, it's all good. It's between me and Luan. Edward sighed. I get it. You have your pride, and as a man, I respect that, but don't go overboard, okay? I don't want to see you arrested. Andrew chuckled. If you are arrested, please know that I have a plan for you to flee to Brazil, although that plan is still in progress. Leona shook her head. You guys are so boring with your macho bullshit. Edward took offense. You don't get it, Leona. She shot back. Why, because I'm a woman? No, because you've never tried to fight the people who bullied you. Leona stammered. I was weaker than them, and they... Edward interrupted her. You know, I'm not talking about that. There's a big difference between accepting bullying and fighting it. How you deal with bullying is what matters. You never decided to ask for help, and you never talked about it. You just bottled it up and lived silently with the pain. Leona looked hurt. Edward backed down, realizing he had gone too far. Victor tried to comfort her. Don't think about it too much, Leona. Everyone handles things differently. He touched her shoulder and saw her blush. He felt a faint, radiating energy between them. Victor removed his hand. Shit, I've got to be careful with my abilities. I forgot about that vampire charm. He turned back to see Edward glaring down at him. His jaw clenched. Victor stammered. Oh, what's up, Edward? When he was angry, there was no stopping him. Don't tell me you forgot about the Brothers' Code, asshole. Oh, shit, he's angry. Victor and Edward stared each other down, ready to brawl. Victor had touched Leona's shoulder to comfort her, and her brother Edward didn't like what he saw. Have you forgotten the code, asshole? Victor swallowed. Ooh, shit, how do I play this? I don't want to fight Edward. If I do, I'll destroy him. Luckily, Leona jumped in to defuse things. Edward, don't be such a nut job. It was just making me feel better after you berated me for no reason. Edward considered her take and backed down. You're right. I'm sorry. I'm just on edge. Things are tense at work right now. He extended his arm for a fist bump. Sorry, bro. Victor accepted and bumped him back. Don't worry about it. That was close. There was a moment of awkward silence before Edward broke the tension. So, what else is new? Victor smiled. Well, I just got married. That's new. Edward and Leona stared at him, stunned. Married? You? Victor beamed. That's right. Edward's gaze shifted, as if Victor had made the biggest mistake of his life. Oh boy, I wish you the best. Victor raised an eyebrow. What do you mean? Andrew explained. Don't listen to him. A few years he almost got married, but the woman turned out to have some issues. Big issues, Leona added. Edward's side flooded with painful memories. Victor felt for his old friend. I'm sorry to hear that. Can I ask what happened? Edward stared at the floor. She turned out to be an obsessive stalker type, following me secretly, going through my phone, freaking out if I talked to any other woman. Victor nodded. Oh, what's wrong with that? Everyone shot him a look. Victor averted his eyes. Oops, I guess I'm the minority on this one. Edward took a deep breath. Listen, man. Jealous women are the worst kind of women. Don't go near them, or you'll end up in a world of misery. Victor scratched his head. I don't understand. It just means they care, right? Edward stared at him, unsure how to respond. I wish you the best. Leona playfully shoved her brother. Stop being so negative. Victor just got married. We should be celebrating him. Edward sighed sheepishly. That's true. You're right. Andrew cleared his throat. Who's your wife? You have a picture of her? Victor pulled out his cell phone and showed them Violet's photo. This is her, Violet. Whoa, she's hot. Victor glared at Andrew. Andrew flashed him a contrite smile. Sorry, she's just very pretty. Edward tapped Andrew's shoulder. Bro code, dude. Andrew rolled his eyes. Yeah, I know. Leona snatched the cell phone out of Victor's hand. Hey, give that back. She swiped to see a photo of Sasha. Leona raised her eyebrow. And who is she? Victor hesitated for a moment. Oh, she's my second wife. Three friends looked at Victor as if he had tentacles protruding from his face. If they were cartoon characters, their lower jaws would be on the floor and their tongues would have rolled out a mile long. Andrew yanked the phone from Leona. Holy shit! Edward leaned in to take a peek too. Edward mimed, fainting. I don't know how to react to this. Leona was a little disturbed. Do your wives know about each other? Victor grew in confidence. Yes, of course. Edward was questioning his whole life. Maybe my issue was that I only tried to marry one girl. Victor, you might have cracked the damn code. Andrew was reeling. I can't believe you didn't mention this on our walk over here. How did you land them? Victor smirked. Well, to be honest, they're the ones who came after me. What? Leona disapproved. You know polygamy is illegal, right? Victor gave her a sincere nod. I know. Luckily, human laws mean nothing to vampires. Andrew raised his hand. Question. Do your wives get jealous of other women? Victor's eyes widened. How did you know that? Andrew shrugged. Bro, I'm so envious, but also very worried for you. Shit is gonna get crazy. Victor blinked in confusion. What do you mean? Crazy how? You're dating two yanderes, buddy. Victor repeated back the unfamiliar word. Yandere? Do you remember that anime we used to watch with the pink-haired girl who was lovesick for that military guy, like, out of her mind? Victor nodded. Yeah, I remember. So what? That's a yandere. I see. And you're saying my wives are just like her. Andrew shrugged. That's what it sounds like. Victor furrowed his brow. Isn't that a good thing? My wives are beautiful and they love me. What else matters? Andrew, Edward, and Leona sighed simultaneously, as if they had given up. Just don't cheat on your wives, or you'll die. Why would I cheat on my wives when they're that beautiful and we all love each other? Leona smiled. You really have lost your mind, Victor. It's almost charming. Remind me to do the opposite of everything you're doing when I get married. Edward wagged his finger. Oh no, you're not getting married while I'm alive. Leona slumped in embarrassment. Ed, come on, I'm a grown woman. Of course you are. Doesn't change the fact that no man will ever be good enough for you. Victor's cell phone rang and interrupted the sibling back and forth. Leona was still holding it. She looked down at the screen. Kaguya? Victor reached for his phone. She's my wife's maid. Leona was confused. Maid? Victor grabbed the phone and stepped away. Hello? The trio continued their conversation without him. Leona looked at her brother. Hiring a maid is expensive. Edward shrugged. One of his wives must be rich. Andrew closed his eyes and fantasized. Well, isn't he lucky? 2 hot wives and at least one of them is loaded. Edward considered his point. Yeah, but they're yanderes. He could die at any moment. Leona took a breath to calm herself. I think Victor will be fine. I hope. He's good with women. Andrew shot her a look. Yeah, but since when? Leona would never admit it out loud, but she was still buzzing a bit from when Victor touched her shoulder. She looked Edward in the eyes. As far as this yandere stuff, anime protagonists only die when they're beta males who refuse women's advances. That's not Victor. Andrew nodded. So as long as he just always accepts his wife's advances, he's okay. For the rest of his life? Leona rubbed the back of her neck. I guess so. Victor barged back into the group, panicked. I've got to go, now. Leona was concerned. What's wrong? Victor gulped. Wife A just met wife B. She stammered. What's the problem? They've never met? Edward gave his sister a grave look. Yanderes, Leona. Yanderes. Even Zack the cat let out a deeply troubled meow.